This is a Georgetown Class A. We got her backed in. Got all our scaffold all wrapped around. And then some of the other things that we do immediately. We're going to be taking that awning off, but we put protective drops all inside here. That's protocol. That's one of the first things we do. And then if that awning was going to stay, we would wrap it, but it's not going to. We're going to take that off. Got this big set of stairs here. Makes it more comfortable for sure. So this is what we got. Boy, got a lot of booger on here, huh? That's a fiberglass roof. I don't know what we're in for when we tear it out, but that's a fiberglass roof. And you can see they've had so much trouble here, they just kept mucking it all on here. Looks like they had some breaching right here. Look at the water dam here. Boy, that's pretty big. It's almost probably about close to an inch of a water dam there. Let's see if we can't straighten that out. Just kind of give you an overview of what we got. So these antennas, I'm not a fan of these antennas. They generally don't come in. This thing's probably so old it's obsolete. But if you do have one of these, right here, you want to make sure you get this sealed. There's this boot right here. Pull it up, load it, and put it back down. You want the caulking to come out here. You want to seal that. If not, once you take that boot up, there's just a round. See if I can get this up. Someone already mucked it on there pretty good. See that hole there? It'll just run right into the ceiling cavity in your roof. So the same with this. We're going to be getting rid of this one. This one will wrap down over here. So we'll take this turn bar off. This will wrap over this termination rail, that gutter. We'll take that off, and then the roofing, like I said, will come around the shoulder. You can see how low the air conditioner sits. Look at all that debris right there. That's where you get a lot of issues. You can even see, I think there's a leaf or something right there. Looks like one right there. All that debris gets caught up underneath there. When it gets caught up underneath there, it won't drain right. It's going to drain. It's just not going to drain properly. There's a couple of ports. There's one here and one on the opposite side, and that's how it drains out. But if it's not able to drain because it's clogged, it's going to back up, and then it'll go right into the coach. And it'll get up underneath the roofing. So we obviously got some covers on here. You can see that somebody has gone around a couple times. You can see all the caulking even outside of the cover. And the same on this one as well. Someone around these, and also these here. So like I said, we'll be taking all this mess off of here and cleaning it all up. We got this here. That's what they want you to do at the RV industry, is they want you to go and put more on. And I joke and I say the only one that's putting more on is a moron, because the system doesn't work. You just can kind of think of it logically. If you went out and bought a set of tires, and the salesman come out after they were installed and said, "Thank you for your business. Oh, and by the way, fill those tires up with air every 3 or 4 months because they're going to go dead flat." And you probably wouldn't want to buy those tires. If you own a house, do you go around and caulk all your windows and everything every 3 or 4 months? No. Once a year is a prudent inspection. You shouldn't have to do that. I don't like these either. Typically these always leak. So I mean, there's so much stuff on here, I can't see anything right off the rip. I can't see anything there. So I'm hoping when we take this up that the actual deck is good, and we'll be spot checking it in different areas to make sure it is good. And if it is, we may be able to go right over this whole thing. We may be able to. Don't know. So not until we start loosening all this up, and like I said, do some spot checking around to make sure it's all tight. And if it is all tight, like right here, that feels pretty tight. Then we have to prep it. You have to definitely prep this. So once we get all that, then we could probably get the roofing down on it. So some of the other things you need to do is go around and make sure these are sealed. What will get in there, what you're looking at right there, that's butyl. You need to get that butyl out. Just take a knife. Butyl will dry out. When it dries out, it'll pull water in. And normally when we do a reseal, we'll take those screws right out. I'll load the hole itself with some caulking in there, and then what we'll do is put the screw back. And then the same thing on this other side, right? You just keep going down. I also go around right in here. I go around there because there's a inside here. Well, I'll show you up this way. See this bolt right here? This screw goes, there's a nut inside here. So it's the same on this, except the nut is on the, the screw is on the opposite side, and the nut's in here. But you can get water that'll trickle down in here, and it rusts everything out. But you want to seal up all around those ladders real well. You want to seal around your lights. You want to seal all of that up, you know, like around here. And since it's right in our face, we're probably going to strike all that. Same thing with these windows. You want to go around and make sure all these windows, the whole entire window, we go around all the way around, and we stop just about right here where you can see my hand on the window at the bottom. We don't usually do the strike underneath it. If it is going to leak, if something got in there, my thought is maybe I'm giving it a way out instead of sealing it all the way in. So, but you can see we got some stressing on this already. I don't know about that. We'll be changing this out. I do not like that spline cover anyways. We'll be taking all that out. It already looks like we've got a bug right there. He was a traveler. So that's where we're at with this Georgetown. So overall, I don't see anything crazy compared to some of the other ones we did. This may be a straightforward roof. We don't get those very often. I do have some rusty bolts. We'll be changing those out for sure. And I'll put them back in there. They're all rusty. And we'll get some fresh ones in there. You got the awning, the fabric's cracked right here. So, but like I said, I'm just trying to give you an overview of what we got going on. And so what we'll end up doing now is once we get it all staged, obviously we take apart the whole entire roof. Then we'll go around and check it and make sure. And that could be taking a hammer and tapping along and hearing if we hear any delamination, just do it systematically all the way across. Or walking across it feeling. You want to feel if it's just tight. If it's tight, then it's good. We don't have to rip it up. The glue is still there. Everything is bonded. But you still won't have the curves like we have. So that's why we're going to put the new membrane down, and then we'll put the curves up, and we can heat weld all that to it. So, but that's where we're at with this old Georgetown.
Wobble.
Yeah, look at all this.
I'll lock it.
That's weird.
I've never seen one.
Well, it looks like it's stuck to the, like there's glue there, but it came out of here, and there's not a lot. It looks like it dried before they actually got it in place. You see all this here, so we're going to take all this up. It's not stuck at all. Not adhered. They come right up. See right there? You can see all the glue there. It dried before they set it in place. That's what happened. It cured out before they set it. Alright, so we had some rot issues over here, so we put a blower on there. Actually in that corner as well. That wasn't surprising. But one of the things here, you can see, this is the adhesive. You don't see very much of that pink around there, do you? That's because they didn't use a lot of it. There's some right here that you can see. But this peeled up too easy, so we don't like it. So it's coming off. I want to make sure it's on there real well. So these are just some stir straps that they put where the two pieces come together. That's all that is. But that's what we're doing now. We made an executive decision, just tear it all off and put a whole new roof deck on there. You know, you can see some right there, but there's not enough on there. And it is kind of, yeah, you can see it on there, but it wasn't staying, and that was why we pulled it off. I'm gonna go around this other side, take a look, see. Yeah, see, I mean that's fresh. So there's not a lot on there to keep it down. It looks to me like they just kind of did a splotch in here, a little splotch in there and there. They didn't do the whole thing, it doesn't look like to me. So anyhow, it's only taking a few minutes to tear it off, so we're just going to tear it off and redeck it the way it should be done. That's what we do here. If it was mine, that's the way I'd do it. So tear it up, put a new one on. And that's the road we're trucking. Okay, mules, back at it.
There's spots are just like random, leaking everywhere, but
yeah,
it's not around vents or anything. It's just holes.
Oh yeah. That had a, yeah.
I've never
Let's
found
see.
leaks on this one.
Now there's plenty. It looks like there's plenty of glue like here on this fiberglass, but not from the glass, or excuse me, from the the substrate here to the actual foam. And you need this to all work in concert. They all need to work together. If they don't, then it's not going to be a strong roof, and it'll rack, flex too much. All right, we got all the roofing off, as you can see. It peeled up pretty quick. So we'll get some new decking on here. And the stuff they had on here, it wasn't even really fiberglass. It's an acrylic. It's the same acrylic that they use for pop-ups. I'll show you that. It has that pebbly look to it. It's real cheap. So now, as we're looking at it, look at quite a gap there. So we've got the opportunity to fix that, which is great, because there was a really big water dam right there, which caused some of this damage over here and the damage over there. So we're gonna build that up a little bit, I guess, so we don't have that problem. Maybe we can use a little better decking on here. And that's what we're looking at. But that, like I said, that's just a cheap acrylic. I'll show you that in a second. This is the stuff that came off of this camper right here, this big Georgetown. And you can see it's got kind of like a texture to it. And that's real thin. This is the same stuff. You can see just how thin it is. Let's see, I'll back up a little bit here, get the blur out of there. But this stuff is super thin. It's just the same acrylic stuff they put on pop-ups. Same junk. So at first look, you know, when you look at some stuff, you know, I was looking at it, oh, it's got a fiberglass, which some people call it fiberglass, but this is just cheap acrylic stuff. That's all it is. It is so thin, and you can, like it showed you some of it, you can see that there was glue on there, but it wasn't stuck up there, so what good was that? And sometimes I'll look at something and I'll have a thought in my head, and then when I get into it, I go, no, that ain't right, let's fix it. And that's just what you have to do. I'm not going to let something roll out of this shop that isn't done correctly. Not under my watch. You know, if something does get out of the shop that way, it'll get corrected when it comes back. That's for sure. You know, but you can see, like I said, that's all it is. So we just tore it all up. So now that we got the chance to fix the roof line, we're going to do it, and we'll kind of correct all that so it sits a little more true to the roof. And that may mean that we have to put maybe a little heavier decking on there or something. So I'm going to look at that and see what options we have so we can get it back together for us. All right, so we are redecking this. You can see all the cinder block we have. We got the foam adhesive all up inside here. You can see it all sprayed up in there. You see all the cinder blocks. So when people say that these can't hold a lot of weight, this is a applied foam roof, they can hold a lot of weight. They can hold a ton of weight, literally. We got at least a ton of cinder block here. So, one of the other things we did on here was we put this plate underneath here. We glued it down. So then we got the decking coming over. That'll give us something nice and strong to screw to. We did that also to all around the vents and the refrigerator vent. We did them all. So this way we have some good stock. This is 3/8 that we're using, and it's a little thicker than we've done on some of the other ones. But on this one we had to peel it all up, and that's why we went with the 3/8. We probably could have got away with even 5mm, but I just said, how the heck with it, we use this here, we'll try it, and it's laying down well. So the only problem you'd ever have with a thicker board going on here is you want to make sure you maintain the camber, and sometimes a thicker board is more rigid. The 5mm, that actually has a lot more flex. The disadvantage is that it has so much flex that sometimes you'll get this waviness from time to time on a fresh foam. You know, some of the other ones we've done that just we reskin over because there's delamination, we don't usually have that issue, but that was why we went with this. I wanted to give this a try and make sure it sat down well. So that's where we're at with this so far. Okay, so we got this all glued down. We got all the sheets all glued on here. Now what we're doing is we're going back, and we want to make sure these are kind of married together. That's what we're doing. So we're sanding them. We're going to sand them up, make sure they're on the same plane. That's all, to make sure everything's nice and even. And then these are the shoulders. Right here, there's another one over there. It'll wrap over on this side. They'll come around this way. And that's what we're doing, just prepping up the roof. We've already got the antenna prepped down that end, the wire anyways. And then we come in and just look at any of these wires. On a lot of these with the round shoulders, they run the wires out, that's just great, because then you don't have to worry about it getting compromised. Some of them they'll have come up and they run through, And if we notice the wires look like they may be getting chafed, we have inserts for those little red head inserts. We've done them on a few other videos, you can see. But so that's what we're looking for. We're gonna check some of this and see what it is. I think all this is just tape. This is just tape that they probably use to hold it in, so we're gonna get that. Then, oh, here's one here. See? So we're gonna try and get some protection on here. All that is just a hole. So we'll put a little insert in that one. And then this one is running up into a channel in the foam. That's what that one is. But this one's actually in a metal channel. So we'll see if we can get an insert for that one. And here's another wire. And all these are little bushings. These are actually electrical code for what's called BX cable. It's a flexible electrical line. You can see, I'm going to see if I can zoom up. See if you can notice. See the chafing on the back of that wire? Well, I don't want it to get compromised anymore. It could possibly just get cut into two. That's a sharp little edge. Now this is a big fix right here. Probably about 3 cents. There you go. Easy peasy. Ta-da. Now the wire won't get chafed, see? Just pull that. Wire isn't going to get chafed along that aluminum. We'll do another one down here. These ones here. Let's check this. That's as easy as it is to fix. So we just go along and make sure this one's going into the foam. See, that one is. That's what we do. Just walk around and look for them and get them all done. And if we see them, we're going to have to patch that hole. That was an actual radio antenna. They got a new antenna that is actually radio and TV. So we'll be installing that. We install them, but we don't wire them, so we bring the wires up there, but I'll put the wires and everything back into the cabinet, and I'll let the customer wire them up. There's another one right here. Let's see if we can do this one. That's real tight, too. We're going to put it that way so it doesn't get in the slot where it's opened up. And let's turn it this way. That'd be a smart idea. There we go. Here's we need. That one's inside the foam. And then need one more. Yep, I need one more right here. Wow, that one's really tight too. This is really tight. Trying to see if I can notice anything up underneath there, but I'll get another one in there, and then I'll check along here. But that's what we're gonna do. I think that's the last of it. Is that one? So I'll have to go find another one of those bushings. Okay, I got two of them that I need to do. This one here and this one here. See the two there. So we'll put these in. So I'll get them in, but I want to do I know some of you guys watch these things to get some pointers on how to do yours. So this is what it is. They're in the electrical section, and I got these over at Home Depot, but that's what they are. They're not very expensive. I don't think this pack costs $5, maybe, if that. I don't think it's even $5. They're just a few dollars, and there's 35 of them. So I think they work out to be about 5 cents a piece or something. So that's probably like I don't know, about $2.50 or something, 8 cents a piece. But I'm gonna get these fitted in here. But that's what they are, these little bushings. All right, what we're doing now is we're doing the other side. We'd already glued this other side. We rolled it out, this passenger side. So now we're working on the driver's side. You can see we've got all our buffer strips in here are protective strips. We've got them all down the edge here. That's going to protect this aluminum as well. So this has all been glued and fastened down. The aluminum has. And then obviously these have been glued down. Everything's all glued down. We just don't lay them in there. They're all glued. Okay? And that's what we're doing now. We're just getting some adhesive on here. This is all GAF products. All the adhesive and glue we use, everything is all GAF. Keep it compatible. And then once we get this and it flashes off, then we'll roll it like we did the other, and we'll hit it with a heavy roller. So we'll show you how we do all that here in a little bit. But that's where we're at with this so far. Okay, so now we are flashed off. That's what it's called, flashing off. You can see it looks clear, but you can see the sheen on it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start rolling it. He's trying to feed a wire through there. That's what we got. Get that yellow balance. Don't do that. Let him do it. He'll control that. Get that balance roller right there. New guy. Ta-da! Look how pretty. Now all we're going to do is roll this. We have a balance roller. We roll that across. And that just kind of presets it. And once we get that, we got Big Bertha up there. There you go. Need a, oh, gee whiz. And he's part of the gun club right there. 20 years ago, that wasn't so heavy, was it? Now we're just going to keep rolling it down, rolling it down, rolling it down. So that's it. So the next step, cut all the holes out for the vents, all the accessories and things like that. Get the curbs on. Roof is all rolled out. Next step, we cut all the holes for all our vents, skylights, air conditioners, refrigerator vent right there. Then we mount our curbs. Once we get the curbs all mounted, the next step is to heat weld all that together. We also got turn bar that we'll be putting on as well. I got a down there, we're going to have a radio antenna down there. Right there where that wire is coming out, so we got to work with that. And I got to build a different, we've never installed it, it's called an Air 360. So I'm going to make a different base for it. I'll have to design it out. But that's where we are so far. These little things are handy as heck. I tell you what, when you're trying to drill a straight hole, you just set it. You can put screws in here if you want to keep it stable, but then you just plunge down. It's got a spring on it so it'll come back. So sometimes you're trying to cut a hole and things wobbling around on you, and you don't necessarily need to have the center bit in there either because it'll stay straight, and it's also got a handle. It's this one called Miles Craft is what it is. Those are pretty handy. Okay, check us out on this big old Georgetown. We've got all our curbs welded now. We got to obviously set the ACs, and then we got first strike. What this strike is, this is all the product that we put behind here, and when we screw it in, it burps up. When it burps up, we strike it down. So really, there's already a strike here. Okay, and you can see when you load it in the back, and I know you guys watch these aren't necessarily DIY videos, but if you want some tips anyways, when you put all this caulking in the back and you squish it in there, when the screw twirls around, it draws the caulking up towards the head of the screw, and then it seals it like a grommet. It'll seal them all up. So then we just strike this down because we want to put a nice smooth strike on there. So that, I guess technically that would be the second strike. When that cures, we put another one. So we got 3 strikes on these things. Just put 3 strikes and you're out. That's it, 3 strikes and you're out. Then let's see what we did over here. This is a new wine guard. It's called an Air 360. I've never installed one before. It's supposed to get TV and radio, but I made that little cake looking type of curb for it. I think it looks pretty cool. It looks like it came with it. That's the way it's supposed to go on. So I designed that up yesterday. and put that on there. And obviously we heat welded everything together. So obviously we got to clean the roof down and things like that. I'm just kind of giving you an update. Now some of the caulking, I know you guys keep asking this too. Here's the caulking we use. It's M1 right here by ChemLink. That's the product, okay? This is an adhesive caulk. This stuff is awesome. It works as an adhesive and a sealant. Even if you took all these screws out, you can see all the jaundice on there, that's primer. You take all these screws out, that you will tear apart trying to get this off. It is stuck on there. I promise you, that stuff is super strong. So you see the curves we got right here. And then we make these recessions in the curves right here. This one has already been sealed, but there's a recession right here. So on this counter flash comes out, drops down, and then comes out again. And we do that so when water does hit this, which obviously it will, I want it to get discouraged from even trying to roll back, so it'll come this way. And we did it to all of them. All of them are all the same way. And then we got to make up some flashing detail for the front of the air conditioners, and then we got our stands already. We fabricated all those. So we're scooting along pretty good. What I found here, I'll even show you this. This is called citrus strip. I wanted to try it, but all on here, you can see that little bit of booger on there. It was caked out to here. Someone had, you can see the shadow line. Somebody had really put the trowel to it. Real hard to get off, so you take that and just put a thin coat on it, and then you just let it do its job. You can actually see some of the shadow line right here too. That's all caulking that was sitting there. But anyhow, once you put that on, then you come back and you can wipe it off. The trick too is once you get that on, obviously it has got some sort of acidic value in it, which is starting to break down everything. It's a very good idea. This is just water. It's just water. Take some water, squirt it down to neutralize it so you can wash it off. You don't want this running down onto your decals or anything else and then ruining those. So take some water and try to make sure you're just working that area, just sopping it up so you don't have all that runoff, okay? So that's a little trick there. This roller, I've had some questions on the roller. It's a 110-pound roller. That's what that is. That is a real commercial grade roller. Everything we use here is all commercial grade. This is 60 mil GAF brand TPO. It's a thermoplastic. T as in thermal, P as in plastic, TPO. That's what it is. And then I've had other questions about how we do the boots. So the boots are all heat welded in. You can see they're secured down inside there. We're going to load that, clean this. We're going to load that up, and then that'll be all sealed. Everything needs to be primed though. That's what all that mess is. It's all primer. So we'll clean all that up, and then we can load it. Same thing on your curbs. If well, I know you guys, these curves, these are all proprietary to RV Roof Install. So we don't sell them or anything, but they're all proprietary to us. So on the curbs, or even if you're just not using curbs, which is okay if you're not, but what you would want to do is like on this, maybe I'll go around the other way and show you. Be easier.
You know how to roll this?
So, right here, if you're going to put these down, these vents, if you're going to put them down to the roof, you want to clean, and you want the roofing where it's going to land, where that flange is going to land, you want that part of the roofing in a little bit more primed. Has to be primed. Then you can put on the M1, get a good bead, get a good soak on there. And then when you press it down, torque the screws in. Don't drive them all the way down. Just torque it down. It'll start burping out. When it starts burping out, it's kind of like a valve cover. One here, kind of jump around a little bit, get it to balance down and snug. Once it gets snug, leave it. And then you're going to go back around, and where your primer will be out on the roof deck, that is, it'll be out, and you can put another strike on there, you see? So it'll be real easy to do that. And that would probably work in lieu of, you know, doing the curbs, because that caulking is really strong. This is just the way we do it. Like I said, I designed all these. I designed all these plumbing. Everything I designed, it's all, you know, patent pending stuff for us. That's what it is. So, but those are some good tips. You know, if I wasn't able to do the curbs, that would be the next step I do, is mount the vents just the way I explained. Load it up, press it down, make sure it's primed. Almost the same way the RV factory does it now, but you're just doing a better job. The only problem you're going to have, though, is you can't do it to the air conditioner. So that would be, and what I'm going to try to do is make a video where you guys could do a roof system if you really want to trek that road. It's a lot of work, but if you did, where you could get away without using some of the curbs, maybe. So if you think that's an idea, you can hit me down in the comments or something, and maybe I'll try putting one of those together if I get a chance. Probably wouldn't be any time too soon, because I've probably got about 35 coaches on the calendar right now. So, but like I said, leave some comments if you like. I like to try to help you guys out. It makes it a lot easier if you either put a comment on there, because I'll get those, I can respond to them, or if you do an email. When the phone keeps ringing and I keep getting on the phone, and I don't like to be rude at all, but it really does hold me back from getting some of these projects done that I need to get done. Okay. All right, next step, you'll probably see the whole thing all done with the covers and all that stuff all cleaned up. All right, so what we did when we put the turn bar on, this turn rail, there's caulking behind there, and what you're seeing here, that's primer on top of it. Okay, there's primer on this. You can see that kind of jaundice. So now what we got to do is go back, and what I was doing here, I'm putting the first strike on. So one of the tricks that I do, and again, these aren't necessarily DIYs, but I know you guys like little tips. Keep a rag handy. Always keep that tip clean. See if I can do this left-handed. Now after I get this one on, I'll wait for this to cure, and I'll go back over it with another one. I get a little burp right there. I'll show you how we get that. You hold the gun this away, again left-handed. There you go, just smooth it out. You want it smooth because you're going to go over it with a second layer, so you don't really want any bumps or burps in there. Alright, we've got our first strike down here. We've got a first strike here. Got our first strike on this turn bar all the way down on the opposite side and the front as well. So once we get all that first strike down, what we do is go back, cut the tip wider, and we're going to overlap that right there. See if I can again do this left-handed. And all we're trying to do is just get a second layer on there. The first one gets right into that little, you know, right into the fine crack. Then when you see something like this that needs to be touched up, just give your gun a little squeeze. You can come back and just dress it, because it's the same. If you see, these are called bleed offs. That's called a bleed off. That's not a big deal. If you go back and try to get that right now, you're probably going to make a mess. Just wait for it to cure a little bit, you know, maybe a couple hours, even the next day. You can go back and you can just take a little X-Acto knife and a paint scraper and get those little bleed offs. And that's a really good trick to know, especially if you're going around windows, because you just come back, you know, the next day, like I said, and strike it out. So don't get overexcited about it. That's how you clean it up. It only takes a second. The chances are you'll come back here, you'll touch that, and then everything else will look like a booger and mess. So, but that's so we're going to go along the whole entire coach, back around again, and get that all done. Then go down this side as well and get everything done. Right now we're just trying to clean those AC covers up a little bit. They look pretty bad, and there's a couple other things we just want to try to adjust. I notice a little dinkle right in here. I want to try and pull that back, and then a couple little things like that. I just want to make sure it's seated well and everything looking good. I mean, it's a new roof, it should look good. That's what we're on now. So on the back, we were talking about these bleeds right here. Just take a little window knife here, a window scraper. All you do is that nice and easy using the corner right here. Just kind of lean it in a little bit. That's it. See, it's a lot easier to do that than to try to wipe it like I was talking about. Just kind of loosen it up. We'll go around, just kind of look at some of them that we can clean up a little bit. Probably not overly important to get every single one. I mean, It's watertight. It still looks clean. Looks a lot better than that die core ever will. But you know, it's probably not going to go into better campers and gardens. You know, sometimes you can get a little OCD going on, and it may take you a lot longer. And again, especially if it's something that isn't really all that necessary. But I try to make them look at it just as clean as I can without burning up unnecessary time on them. Well, it's not there. We'll just clean that up. Okay. So then we just, that's the rag that I normally use. There's a couple little squirrelies like right here. And you just kind of go along and clean it up. Like I said, it's not the end of the world. This is all double layered anyways. And then some of the bleed off actually went on top of this screw cap cover, which in a way may just help hold it in, I guess. So it's, unless it looks really unsightly. You can tell right there where I tried to get another pump with the gun. See, but still, it looks, overall, it looks pretty clean to me. All we're doing now is just, you can see we got the mop up here. We're just cleaning it up. This is ready to go. I'll do one more clip there, and I'll go over the root system in a minute. We are done. Big old Georgetown is done. See, we put some protection on the awning arm there. That's what we do. This is all ready to go. We're just going to start breaking the scaffold apart. And you can see everything's all heat welded. And I think the last clip we went over was the caulking. So otherwise now it's all done. We went around it with 2 layers of caulking all around everything. So usually when you run, and they had a sample up here, but if you look at the caulking is all dispensed into a cartridge. And as it's dispensed in the cartridge, there is air in there. So as you're going along, you're probably hear it pop or crackle, and if you do, there's an air pocket. So we put 2 layers on there to make sure that we cover it in case that first one breaches and pops, right? Then you have some protection. What are the chances of having one air bubble over another? It's probably slim to none. So here's our logo right here. We installed it May 19, and then obviously our logo on there. We do that so we can monitor the roof as it comes in for inspections, but also if you go to sell it, you know, we want people to know we're proud of our roofs, but I don't want anybody trying to talk somebody down, saying, oh, I know these RV roofs are terrible, I'm going to have to talk you down. You know, wait a minute here, I just had that done. So, and we do flip warranties here, and you can call us about all those details. So some of the things the owner's going to need to do is like go around the ladder, go around some of these lights and everything, make sure all of that's sealed. That's for sure. So the product, well, here I'll go through the basic gist of it. Most of them I kind of close the same way, so if you watch other videos. But obviously AC, which this one's getting a new thermostat. That one up there is going to get replaced. But we've got these custom stands we made right here. It just gives it balance. You almost don't need them, but it does give it balance. Then we put a piece of counter flashing on the front. That runs up underneath the hood, and each one is different. This one seems to have that shape to it. Whatever it needs is what we fabricate. The purpose of this counter flashing is when you get into a heavy storm and that water is just really pushing across the roof, there's a foam gasket up underneath there, and I don't want any water to try to get up underneath the gasket. Now it's not going to get it from coming across the roof this way, and the reason it won't excuse me, is because we have a counter flashing. They're all the same. That counter flash there, you can see it right there. There's a counter flash. So any water that's coming across the roof that tries to come up onto there is going to hit that counter flash. It's actually going to get flipped out, and it's actually going to get forced to come around with the velocity of the wind. The real purpose of this counter flashing right here off of this AC, the metal that is so when the water comes down, it doesn't want to try to follow the frame or the base of that, and it'll scooch it out. So now you can see there's a little gap at the bottom, and it would hit there, and then it would just get forced out. That's the real purpose of it. So this is the same way. This one here, you see. So when the water comes down, it would hit the roof again, and then get forced out. Now it's below the counter flash of the curb, so you get 2 different counter flashings on here. Again, same mounting brackets and so forth. So, excuse me, we got the this is a Winegard Air 360. It's one of the first ones we put in. But we just made it, looks like a big old cake to me. And the material is a 60 mil GAF. This is GAS brand. It's an Everguard. It's a 60 mil product. So I could show you what that's like over here. If you want a sample, I'd be glad to send one. Then on the samples, what we'll do is send with colors on it. I just haven't had time to do them. But you can see that little fiber in there. That fiber, that's the structure to the membrane. It's embedded in it. You can see little squares. That's what gives it its strength from hail, impacts, trees, things like that. If you did poke a hole in it, say a tree did poke a hole in it, well, we can go back with the membrane and we do a hot patch on it, just like we hot patch this, right? This isn't a patch, it's just a weld. But there's still a hole in there from the screws of the ladder here. So, but that's pretty much the system right there. So we appreciate you watching. If you get any questions, you can reach us at 423-475-7663. That's 423-475-ROOF. And or you can reach out to us at or go to our website. Our email is contactus@rvroofinstall.com. Thanks for watching.